Hi everyone, welcome to this Tools of Frontline Staff session. We've got one presentation today. It's from Cleo, who's joined us from Kooth, which is a digital platform for young people around mental health. So I'm going to pass over to Cleo. Thanks for coming along.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. You'll be able to see it okay. Can we all see that all right?
Yeah, we've got it.
Yep, perfect. Okay, so you may have already heard of our service. You may be familiar with what we do, but hopefully today we'll answer any of your questions and go into a bit more depth for you. So we are an NHS commissioned platform and we provide support to young people across the UK. In City and Hackney specifically, it is 10 to 18. So today I'm going to look at an overview of how it works as a mental health service, looking at the importance of safeguarding, where we fit into the care pathway, how we support you to refer young people that you might be working with to Kooth, and also some general tips when talking to young people about their feelings. And then there will also be an opportunity for questions at the end. So I don't need to mention this bit. So this is an overview. Like I said, we're an NHS commissioned service, so we are trusted. All of the practitioners and the counsellors online are approved. They're safe to be talking to for young people. It says here 11 to 18. Like I said, City and Hackney, it is 10 to 18. Some other parts of London, it does go up to 25. And we are a BACP accredited service. So that stands for the British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy. So all of the people who are working on the site are accredited with some form of counselling qualification. So we provide immediate support, and by this we mean that there's no need for any waiting lists. We know that a lot of young people, especially when it comes to CAMS, they're on waiting lists. They might not meet the thresholds. They might, not be able to get access to that support when they need it. So with this, it takes away that waiting list and that time period, and it's completely free to use as well, and it's available throughout the whole year. So there's a range of support options which gives a young person control over what support they want and then when they want it as well. So it's very accessible. We are anonymous. If you're familiar with us, you may already be aware of this, but we don't have to have any young person's personal identifiable information for them to get some support. And we find that that's very useful for a lot of young people, of course, with stigmas around mental health, especially in certain communities. So it takes away that barrier. And also, like I said, it's a personal choice. There's a full mental health toolkit on there, and they can use what they like. So we've got three main types of support. So the first is the self-help resources. So that looks like goal setting and journal spaces. So this would be identifying goals that they want to see themselves achieve, and it will be between them and their practitioner that they may be working with. And similarly, they can enter into a journal, and this is a useful way for them to track their mood, identify triggers as well. The community support includes activities which we have on there. There are many activities that young people can just get involved with just to learn how to deal with their mental health, especially if they've been struggling. Discussion boards as well. So this is involved with different young people. So they might be able to interact and get involved in discussions that might be relatable to them. They might be able to get some useful advice from others as well as sharing their own. And then we've also got magazines and podcasts. We know that a lot of young people would rather just listen to something or watch something rather than typing or reading. So we've got the one-to-one support, which is probably the most well-known. So that is talking with a practitioner about their mental health and getting that support there online. So we have live chat options, so they can get same-day access to these qualified practitioners, and they are all real people, they're not bots, through a drop-in or a pre-arranged chat. Alternatively, they could get involved in a message, so they could just send, for example, one paragraph if they perhaps don't want a conversation, but there's something that they want a bit of support with, and they'll get a response from a member of staff. So the practitioners come from different backgrounds. Like I said, they're fully qualified. It could be that they worked in counselling, that they were a mental health nurse, they worked in social work, and so on. So we work with complexity. A number of our service users do have complex presentations, or perhaps they're living within difficult contexts or at high risk of harm from themselves or from others. So when they join, level of need is assessed at registration, where explicit routine inquiry into their past and their present self-harm, suicidal ideation and intent is embedded. We'll follow the standard assessment tool for therapeutic support, which is Core YP, which is up to 16, and Core 10, which is 17 plus. So 65% of the users who join, they score 25 plus, and this is considered to be experiencing severe psychological distress. but they're then offered a named worker, which offers them that structured support. So it could be having a 1-hour conversation every Friday afternoon, perhaps, with that same person who knows them and what they're dealing with and has all their notes. The out-of-hours support can help de-escalate risk. We are online, the practitioners are online until 10 p.m. The service itself is 24/7 to access to other staff. So we find that can be very helpful when other services aren't available. We collaborate with local services where possible, and when needed, we will signpost them to additional services, perhaps ones that are in the area. So safeguarding, of course, you're probably wondering how we maintain safeguarding, considering that it is anonymous. If somebody is considered to be a risk to themselves or from others, we will ask for their personal details and then their consent to pass that on to external services. And even if they don't give us that consent, if we do know that they're at risk and we have that information, we will still refer. We'll let them know who we're passing the details on to and why. And when we feel that a young person is in danger, we will collaborate with emergency services. So when we don't have their information, which is very likely, what we'll do is we'll try and work with that young person through developing a safety plan and just being present and there for them, which we find helps de-escalate risk as well, like it says here. So I didn't realize this slide is going to be in this one, but yeah. So when we don't have the information, we'll work with them to reduce the risk and we'll attempt to understand their barriers to accessing other services as well. And we do think that even though it is anonymous, we don't think that this isn't a barrier, is a barrier. We think that people who are taking the step to come and get help, they're really taking a positive step for themselves and they're probably more likely to be supported. And our users consistently tell us that this aspect allows them to come and share things that they wouldn't have done otherwise. So adapting our approach to support young people with SEND. So many young people might have special educational needs or disabilities, and our practitioners will explore with them the ways which we can accommodate their needs in a person-centered and a collaborative way. For instance, if somebody had ADHD, we'd be able to take breaks within their sessions, and that would allow them to come back and be able to stay on track. And Kooth follows the Web Accessibility Guidelines 2.1. So where we fit into the care pathway, we work alongside other NHS mental health services. We don't want to say we're a competitor, because we're absolutely not. We're trying to take the strain away from other services and be an additional means of support. So like I've mentioned, it's somewhere for people to get support who'd rather remain anonymous, somewhere for them to connect with others who might have had similar experiences, help for those on the waiting list for other services, help if they don't meet these thresholds or criteria, out of our support, which is very helpful, especially over holidays like the Christmas period that we've just had, and also the option to try the one-to-one chat session without having to commit to face-to-face talking therapy. We think is very useful for a lot of young people, and in some cases it encourages them to then go on to talking to people in real life and going to get therapy in person. So there's no problem that's ever too big or too small. We like to emphasize this particularly to young people, because they might think, is this worth me coming to Kooth? Is this actually worth, talking to somebody about? But of course, if it's anything that is on a young person's mind that they'd like to speak about, they can. So this is a brief list of some of the things we support with. So supporting you to refer young people, like I mentioned, we don't need to have a referral as such, but we just like to make sure that people like yourselves and in the community are aware of what we're offering so that you can signpost our service to these people. So just suggesting that they try Kooth. It says here, Quell for adults. Unfortunately, Quell is not commissioned across the whole of London yet, but hopefully it will be soon. So giving out printed pocket cards or A5 leaflets, we offer those to any services so we can send them out for free. We have posters, things like that, just resources that can be signposted. Perhaps promoting us in your newsletters or your social media and website. And also we have activities that we can send out. So there'll be like sheets such as grounding or ice-breaking activities, mental resilience activity sheets that we can send you guys. And encouraging colleagues to attend sessions like these, just so that they're aware of what we're actually offering and more confident with referring or signposting rather. So we've got a team of engagement leads across the UK. They can provide you with these resources about Kooth. So if you are interested in any of them, please email this address, or to be more specific, you could email myself because I'll put that at the end because I'm the engagement lead for Hackney. So tips on how we can start conversations with young people. I'm sure you're all very well versed with this already, but these are just some reminders. Checking if the setting is right. Sometimes talking when you're not face-to-face can feel less intense for that person. Starting with a simple "how are you?" or "I've noticed that you're a bit down or upset, angry today, would you like to talk?" Trying to ask open questions rather than closed might get more than a one-worded answer, such as "tell me what's worrying you about X," as opposed to saying "is this worrying you?" Sometimes sharing your own feelings can help because, just going to show that you're human too, you go through these things, it might encourage them to speak up. Listening and acknowledging their feelings, sometimes they might just want this person to vent to you, asking them what they need from you, if there's anything that you can do. And even if they don't want to talk, then just making the offer again, because it might take a few times before they do open up. And then, of course, suggesting places such as Kooth or other local services for if they want somebody neutral to speak to. So just like physical health, our mental health is something that we all have, and we all need to take care of it and make sure it's not escalating into more severe conditions. So this is a summary. I feel like I've said it enough times, but we are commissioned by the NHS. We help to level up health inequalities by providing instant access to discreet, stigma-free mental health and emotional wellbeing support through any internet-connected device. We support across the spectrum of needs, from prevention to more ongoing structured support for those with high risk and severe needs, and the access is immediate. So that's all from me. I'm going to put my email here. It should pop up now. Okay. All right, so my email is not showing on the screen, which is a bit frustrating, but I'm going to write in the chat. So if you did want to ask any more questions after this, or you wanted some resources, I'd be happy to help with that. But I can either stop recording for the questions or keep recording. It's up to you guys.
Thanks, Cleo. That was great. Really informative and really clear. Does anyone have any questions for Cleo? Councillor Troughton.
Hi, thank you for that. I have heard of your service, but how can people access it? Is it referral?
So yeah, no referral. It'd simply be just letting a young person know. Once they know they can make that decision, it would be going onto an internet connected device, just typing up kooth.com. And then from then onwards, they can create themselves an account. It will be a very simple sign-up process, and then they will use that account whenever they want to go and check anything. If they want to have a chat, if they want to go and look at their journal, whatever it is, they'd use that account.
Thank you.
No problem.
Charlie?
Thank you. Thank you. That was a great presentation. I guess I'm just curious who you're already working with in Hackney, because I know we've had presentations on this forum before from the Early Help Hub and other organisations that work with children. So it'd be great to have a sense of who you're getting with, who are you in contact with at the moment?
It depends. It varies from schools to local services, healthcare providers. We are in touch with a lot of CAM services, so they're familiar with us and they often signpost young people. Same with schools as well. We would like to be in more schools, but it's just a matter of going out and speaking to different people and about what we do. If it's talking to young people, it would be the form of assemblies and talking about mental health topics as well. If that makes sense. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's helpful. And apart from schools, is there any other areas that you'd like to connect more with?
I think it would just be healthcare. I think they're very, very prominent with being able to signpost young people because they see young people all the time. So I think just making sure that they're familiar with our service is really important.
There are other newsletters that go around the health system that are similar to the ones we run. I can put you in touch with the people that organise those and might be helpful.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
I was going to say with schools as well. Are you linked in on a school by school basis across Hackney, or have you got any links with the council's education department?
We do have some connections with the educational, the overlookers, if that makes sense. But it'd mainly be that we're in contact with schools themselves, like secondary schools, but it's really handy to be in those networks, especially with safeguarding leads and so on, because those are the people who are going to be, having an influence on the school. Yeah,
I was just going to say, because I might be able to, if it's helpful, link you in with some of the Hackney education colleagues, because they've got things. I think they've probably got a network for safeguarding leagues, and they've got head teacher forums and things like that.
Yeah,
and they also send out a schools bulletin as well, like a newsletter for all the schools. So that might be a good way to get the word out if that's helpful.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Cool. Does someone else have that? Claire?
Hello. Sorry, I missed the beginning of that because I was in another meeting. Cleo, thanks. I just caught the end of that. It's really interesting. I suppose what I'm interested in is because a lot of the work we've been doing is looking at mental health in terms of like culturally appropriate responses to, and how do you kind of, because you know that whole thing about sort of people being re-traumatized by mental health services that aren't necessarily responsive to some of the trauma that, and how do you approach that as an organization to ensure that that's not the case? So a lot of our, you know, we have talking therapies and things like that, but we also have commission services with our different parts of our communities because of the knowledge they hold about the issues that are traumatizing for different communities. And I just wondered how Kooth addresses that for young people.
So if I'm correct, you're asking whether we know how to approach people who might have cultural barriers, or how we do approach that?
Just that the experience of, say, some Black and global majority individuals being re-traumatized through therapy, because therapists don't understand the trauma they experienced because of their ethnicity, and sometimes it's disability, etc.
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't have an exact answer for you, because of course some people don't even disclose their background on the service. So I feel like the whole point of that is to take away that from being a reason they don't get support. So
Thanks, Cleo. Yeah, I mean it's a complicated one to deal with. And thanks for your question, Claire. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Have you got a link, Cleo, to like those posters and things that you mentioned in the presentation? Because I could include links to them in the newsletter. Or is it better just give your email address?
Yeah, that's fine. I can either send some through to you digitally, or I can send posted ones. Is it to put on a newsletter? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I'll send you through some digital sources after this. So
cool, nice one. Thanks, Claire. Charlie?
It may worth be connecting or going to some of the neighbourhood forums. I don't know if you're aware of those.
Yeah.
But just because we've had meetings in the past where they've been with CAMS, and the pressure, obviously the amount of pressure on CAMS is huge. And families don't know what to do in the wait time and are feeling overwhelmed by that. And it feels like for some families and some people, this might be something that might help that wait time. So that's definitely something maybe worth exploring.
I went to one recently. Well, I say recently when it was sunny. But it was a neighborhood CVS, was it?
Yeah, so
Fields.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So that sounds like you're connected to the right people. It was a few years ago, the one that I went to around CAMS, but I just remember it being quite striking, the need for something in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice one, thanks, Charlie. Any other questions?
I'll show this in the group chat as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much, Cleo. That was great. And yeah, as I said, I'll share all those resources in the newsletter so everyone who hasn't been able to come along can get them as well. Brilliant. Okay. Well, that was our only presentation for today's meeting, but does anyone have any, we usually sort of open up the floor for the second half of the meeting. If anyone's got any questions, any issues they want to raise, anything they want to promote, and if any ideas for future meetings, Basia, do you want to come in?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Well, my usual bugbear, digital exclusion. I've discovered some new holes and I didn't know who to flag it with. So I'm raising it here just so that people have in mind that for the Haredi communities and for people without full internet access or loads and loads of data, that there are barriers. The latest one is I used the duty officer at Hackney Adult Care, which used to be a working email. I got back an auto email that not only says you can only contact adult social care through our online form, which actually isn't true, and also gives incorrect information. It says dial 6262 and select option 8. Well, that's just been changed. If you dial 6262 and you want adult care, it's option 6. So we need for any messages to go out to be actually helpful. I mean, an auto email that puts people off is not what Hackney Council really wants to be doing. And it doesn't help me if I'm trying to appropriately link people into the right bit of the system. If I'm then faced with it needs an online form and the people I work with are going, no, I don't want anything to do with online forms. The second one I've just fallen into, again, with a very vulnerable young person, well, young being relative, but a vulnerable person, was they are being booked for a pre-op at Homerton Hospital. Obviously, they wanted some forms filled in, which is fine. And the person could have been persuaded to use the normal NHS app. I can't remember what it's called, Patient Access, which is owned by the NHS, lives inside the NHS. They were then asked, I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the thing. They were then asked to sign up to a new service called Patient Box, which is not NHS led, not NHS run. And basically there we're stuck, because the conversation we had was, well, no, we don't want to do that. The vulnerable person doesn't want their data held by some other body. At which point they said, oh, well, you'll come into clinic and the clinic staff will sign you in, which missed the cultural point absolutely and completely. I'm sorry, my life is full of holes like this, Charles and John. And I do find it very difficult when services are non-responsive. I mean, the final one is the GP surgery. They purchased a computer which is supposed to be, safeguarded so that the local community would use that to fill in online consults. It's sitting in the reception area. It hasn't been used for 1.5 years because the people who supplied it weren't willing for the, what's it called, filters, for the filters to be put on, which would have made it appropriate for the Haredi patients. So basically, those patients are being excluded from booking appointments online, getting their prescriptions, and all these 101 things you may need from healthcare. Sorry, a bit of a rant, but I think if I keep, as you said, if I keep raising these digital exclusion issues, people have to listen. I mean, even if you get a SIM from all these wonderful services that give you SIMs and phones, they don't always have unlimited data, and they only run for 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, you drop off the end, you lose your phone number. Where are you going to go after that? It's all, you know, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm semi-retired, I'd love to retire, but the need is there and people keep coming to me and there aren't easy answers. And sometimes the work is unnecessarily complex. All right. Thanks, folks, for listening.
Thanks, Mattia. Thanks, Mattia. No, it's really important to raise those things, not a rant at all. And they're all legitimate problems. So yeah, it's definitely good to raise them. With regards to the adult social care thing, just to clarify, was it an email that went out or was it a page on the website? I'm just wondering.
No, I emailed the email I would normally use,
right.
Raise new cases, general issues, whatever.
Right.
I got back an auto reply
that
said you can only use the online form and gave inaccurate instructions about if you really have to phone us, how to phone us.
Right. Okay.
I'll forward that to
yeah.
like it forwarded to them. Charles, John, one of you like a copy?
You can forward it to me, Batcha, because then we
Okay.
can forward it on to your colleagues in adult social care and we can try and get them to make sure at least
if you can make sure at least it's accurate.
Yeah.
And also that it isn't off-putting.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, I'm a community health advocate. I wasn't put off, but you know, had I some service users would have given up at that point and gone, well, the council doesn't care about me.
Actually, if you email me about that and also
I will.
the healthcare things you mentioned, because there is Madeline Maxwell who is leading on digital exclusion within Mahometan, and this needs to be, and at least this point of view does need to be raised in all the forums that it's appropriate to. So I can put.
I'll try and put it into an email so that you've got exactly what they said to me. I've got it somewhere because obviously they did email as well. But you can understand an NHS-owned platform is something that you can encourage people to work with and trust because your records are in there anyway. But a non-NHS owned platform, you know, it contradicts all the things I teach people about online safety.
Yeah, reasonable concerns, but if you forward me those information, I'll try and get you in touch with the people who are leading on it from the Homerton perspective, and then we can get people in out of social care as well to have a look at the bounce back emails for them. Nice to see you again as well. I know it's been a while since you come to these.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, Charlie. Oh yeah, I was going to say Madeline Maxwell, definitely a good idea to raise it with her. Genevieve.
Hello all, and thank you for the information, Cleo. I think she left already, but that's always helpful to know. And the point that was just raised by Batya, definitely, Charlie, I'm glad you're going to pick that up. You'll be the right person for the role. What I wanted to talk about today, just a couple of things. For our residents who are in temporary accommodation, we have been putting out a monthly newsletter to all the residents of temporary accommodation. And I just wondered if any in this group are interested in receiving that newsletter as well, if it would serve any purpose, give me a list of your emails and I'll forward them on. So that, because it's not a place to actually sign up for the newsletter, but we will add you to the distribution list. I can give you I'll share in the meeting chat our last letter that went out that I think is very helpful. And the other thing I wanted to ask the group, of those of you that are working with frontline, working with clients, how many of you support them or talk to them about how to use a benefit calculator where they can go in and find out if they are missing out on any benefits? Do they know? There's 3 that are approved by the government. A couple of them one I like in particular because once that information has been analyzed, within that, you can actually apply now. If it says you're missing out on child benefit, you're missing out on carers allowance, attendant, whatever the benefit is, you can stay right in there and apply, which can be very helpful, but sometimes overwhelming to the individuals. Anybody working with benefit calculators aside from Hackney staff, of course? Josie, I know, lives in those
No,
things.
you know I do.
But to use turn to us. The one I want to just mention here is the policy in practice benefit calculator. And I'm just going to put their link here in the site. And they have a free login where you can actually go in and log in. But it's a way to, I think, work with clients to understand where they may be missing or how they can apply. And it'll take them directly in. We're looking at having it on the website. We don't have it there yet where they can actually go in, build a budget, apply for DHP and all those kinds of things right now. But for those of you that use a benefit calculator, if you've never tried the Better Off with Policy and Practice, I recommend it highly. And I think that was it for me.
Nice one. Thanks, Genevieve. That's really useful. And I'm going to share that Better Off calculator in the newsletter as well, because that sounds like really good option for people. Just looking through the chat to see if there's anything else in there. Don't think so. Does anyone else have anything they want to promote? Anything they want to ask about? Charlie.
There probably won't be time to put this in the newsletter as it's next Tuesday, but there is an eSoul event going on at Gascoigne 2 Community Centre. I'll put the details in the chat in just a moment. But anyone who, you know, for English is a second language and it's open to all residents to go to, I've just, a colleague reached out and asked people to promote it. I've got that poster in several languages, spoken widely across the community. If you would like to distribute that among the people you're working with, I can forward you those posters in whatever language, in the languages I have, and the information about that there too. We would promote it via the newsletter, but unfortunately probably won't go out just in time for that. So it's just a kind of last gasp. If anyone wants to promote, send anyone there, please let us know and we'll give you the details. I'll put everything else in the chat.
I think I have shared it in the newsletter the last couple of times. Is it like a Hackney Works thing? Are they connected?
Yeah, from Caroline.
Yeah.
That's in the chat.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's already gone out a couple of times. So yeah, cool, nice one. Thanks, Charlie. Anyone else want to come in at this point? I was just going to say that it would be great if if anyone has any ideas of people they would love to come along and present, or if they want to present themselves. So yeah, as you guys know, the remit for this meeting is pretty broad. So if there's just things that come up in your day-to-day work where you're sort of wondering what you can do about a particular need, if you've got a regular issue coming up, with residents where you're wondering like what's out there, it'd just be really helpful for me to be able to plan the meetings around the needs that you guys have. So you don't necessarily have to say now, but if you send me a chat or send me an email, just if any ideas really for people you'd like to hear from, or just general needs that you don't think you know how to meet, basically, that would be ideal. Even better would be if you want to present yourself. That would be really great if you want to put yourself forward to come along to this meeting and present about the work you do. That would be fantastic. There's probably lots of issues we've covered before in this meeting, but it's been going for 2 years now. So, we might have done something, but it's like 12 months ago. So we can always sort of go back to some things that we've discussed before. Batia, older people threatened with eviction. Do you mean sort of in the private rented sector, Batia, or council, or just in general? Do come in if you want to give some more detail, or I can sort of take it that away and have a think. Genevieve.
It just came to mind with Batia talking about digital exclusion. Those who make homeless approach to the council, if we accept a main duty, or once they apply for the to join the housing register, to be accepted onto the housing register, they have to have an email address. Right. And sometimes I've just run across a recent case that she's been main duty accepted for a year and had no email address, so she's not bidding. She's got other complications going on. She probably wouldn't bid, but that's another issue we're looking at separately. But for those who don't use email and want to make a homeless approach or apply to our register, they need one. So they will need some sort of support on creating an email address, monitoring an email address. That's the only way they're going to be able to bid and join the register. So I thought I'd share that too.
Yeah, thanks, Genevieve. Yeah, we did have a sort of digital focused session sort of towards the end of last year, but maybe we can have another look at digital inclusion more broadly in one of these meetings, and maybe Madeline can come along from Homerton. That might be good. Okay, well, yeah, as I said, just give me a shout if you've got any ideas. Ali.
Hi everybody, happy new year. Yeah, I just wanted to share something that is less about Hackney but more about Islington, but in case you've got any contacts in Islington. So Caribbeats has been successful in taking up a residency at a new cultural centre over in Islington, the Black Cultural Centre. And the reason why I'm sharing it is that we will be running the canteen that we do on a Friday. We're going to replicate that over in Islington. So if you know of anybody who is, oh, thank you, Genevieve. If you know of anybody who is on the border of Islington, or is willing to travel maybe from Hackney to oh, I love all these celebrations, who's willing to travel over to Islington. It's just off Holloway Road, right next to the Arsenal Stadium. They'd be more than welcome. The other thing to say is, well, there's going to be so many activities in there. We've just received loads of proposals. We're just going through them now, from steel pan to womb healing to arts and crafts, all sorts. So it's a really, it's going to be a really packed 3-month residency. 75%. We have to prioritise Islington residents, but yeah, we can sneak a few Hackney ones in. Charles, is that for me?
Yeah, it is. So Islington have a coordinator for food systems in the same way that Hackney does.
Candice.
Okay, so you're already there. All
Yeah.
right, grand.
Yeah. She's on. I went to speak at the Food Network once, so I'm on their radar. But yeah, oh, thank you so much. I think I'm Hackney, right? And I really want some people to benefit from it as well, because it's going to be a really great opportunity. Claire, is that for me?
Yeah, hello. Is it a new, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Is this just opened? Because it's got
Yes.
programs from, does it open in November?
Yeah, so it opened in November. So on the back of George Floyd's death, killing, Islington Council put out a consultation asking what it's like to be Black in Islington, and what came back was a space was needed and a sense of belonging. So then they put out a tender. Could you send us some details? I will, Josie. So they set out a tender, and one organisation applied for it and they got it, and then that kind of fell through. So then Islington decided to put it out to tender again. What kind of tender? And 4 organisations are taking up the residency. So the first one will finish is in now. That started in November. Caribbeats goes in second, and there's 2 more afterwards. And what's up for grabs is a 10-year tenancy there. So yeah, we've got to smash it out of the park. And our launch is we're doing a launch. I think it's going to be on the 13th of February. And I've got somebody coming down who in the Black community, everybody knows who he is. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, Claire, it's a new thing. It was opened in November, and yeah, they're just trialing it this way to see who can bring in who.
Brilliant, thanks, Ali. That sounds absolutely brilliant. I actually saw it on LinkedIn as well. So it looks, it looks fantastic. I don't know if it would be right to share it in the newsletter or not, because obviously it's an Islington thing. But it's up to you. I'm happy to include it. But
do you know what I was going to say was that I was going to put myself forward to maybe present in 6 weeks or something, and then at least I can share it again and probably give you more details of the program.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds great. Nice one.
Thank you.
Cool, Claire.
Yeah, I think we should, because they promote Hackney Food Bank.
Oh,
Islington Council send people to our food bank. So yeah, let's.
Right.
I don't like the idea of saying, oh no, you can't do that. But you know, if we can promote, cross-border stuff, that makes sense to me.
Great. And if anybody's interested in coming to the launch, please reach out, because I'd love to have some familiar faces, backing me.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want to send any info, Ali, over to me, then I can put it in the newsletter whenever it's ready to go. Thank you for your link in the chat, Genevieve. Josie.
Just to say, amazing, well done, that's fantastic. And do you need volunteers, or have you got enough? Or
do you know what? I don't want to be cheeky. I need so many volunteers, because the residency is Monday to Sunday, right? And so we're going to have some co-working spaces, and I'm open for somebody to come and kind of host the co-work, and you can work from there and then just tell people about what we're doing. So yeah, as many volunteers as possible. And if you know anybody who wants to get into like event management and yeah, community and connection, this is a really great opportunity. So yes, please, Josie.
yes, and like I said, if we get more details, then we can think about it. Cheers. Just well done, that's amazing.
Thank you, Josie.
Thanks, Josie. Charlie.
Sorry, Ali, just kind of brains whirring about potential people to speak to. Do you have any contact at Islington and Shoreditch Housing Association? Because they've got residents obviously across both borders. We have some contacts we can introduce you to, if that's helpful.
Yes, please do, because I don't have those contacts. Yes, please.
If you send us a little kind of summary, and then we'll get that across.
Perfect.
Nice one, thanks, Charlie. Anyone else want to come in at this point?
So can I just say, John, and to everybody, whenever I think oh, I shouldn't share this, I should share it because I always get the most feedback. So this is just to anybody who's thinking, oh, is this relevant? Just share it, because I always get such support and feedback from it. Just wanted to send that little reminder.
Yeah, well said. Thanks, Sally. Yeah, I mean, this is what this space is for. Yeah, that's obviously, this meeting started quite specifically around cost of living, but I mean, it's really broadened out. So if there's questions or things that people want to promote, that's exactly what this space is for. So yeah, more the merrier. Does anyone have anything they want to add at this point, or are we good to wrap up? Okay, cool. Yeah, everyone do just let me know if you want to present or if you have any ideas for stuff you want to hear about. And yeah, thanks for coming along, and Happy New Year, everyone. And I think we're gonna welcome, Jermaine. We were actually just wrapping up at this point, so I don't know if you had anything you wanted to share at this point, but we were actually just about to wrap up.
I was about to break out in song and start singing for everybody, but seeing as you
good.
guys are leaving early, I'm joking. I'm playing. Sorry. Happy New Year, everyone.
That would have been great, but yeah, the next meeting is in a couple of weeks. It's always sort of Thursday at 4. So yeah, do feel free to keep coming along. Great to have you here. All right, I think we'll draw to a close there. Thanks everyone for coming, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Have a good 2 weeks.
Bye. Bye-bye.